Hey, I'm Robert.
And I'm Evelyn.
And this is Token About It.
And as you guys probably noticed, we took a little break because we are moving to once a month temporarily for our podcast. We did announce it on all of our socials, but we weren't sure if you guys all saw, but it should be obvious by now. Life just got crazy. I'm in school again, and it's just too hard to edit twice a month rather than once a month. So if you didn't see that, sorry about that. But we are promising, and we're still promising, a holiday episode.
Yes.
Since this is our 50th episode.
Oh, no. You've been doing it this long?
I am honestly a little shocked that we've been doing it this long, but also very happy we've been doing it this long.
Yeah.
Like, we've kept with it.
Yeah, we've kept up with it.
You're still going. Somehow, surely, steadily.
Yeah, so, and then, like Evelyn said, she's been back at school, and I've been writing academic papers. Last one I wrote on was the personification of evil in comics.
Yeah, so we've been just a little busy. But we still love and appreciate you guys, and we wanted to focus on quality, not quantity, because we didn't want the quality of the podcast to suffer just to try to get something out. Once I hopefully pass organic chemistry 2.
For the 18th time.
This is my first time taking it, thank you very much. It was OChem 1 that I took twice. But anyway, hopefully I'm passing, so then we'll go back to our normal schedule.
Sounds good.
Okay, so what was this chapter?
This chapter is called The House of Healing.
Yes, and I had predictions.
And it's it's another short chapter.
It was short, but it took me a little bit to read, but that's because I wanted to take it every moment. Like, every single sentence was, like, felt important.
Right, yes. Sure enough.
But I actually wrote down my predictions, guys. I know, I didn't have to go...
Shocked, I tell you.
I didn't have to pause the podcast and go find them. So, we'll just see how these go.
Okie dokie.
So... my first prediction was Gandalf goes off into the battlefield because I was dumb and I thought the battle was still going. And my second prediction was Pippin was going to go with him.
Okay, so that's 2 out of 3 wrong.
Yeah. This one, I'm going to make an argument for.
Nope. I can already tell you it's going to be no.
That no one cared that badly about Denethor's death. I'm going to make my argument at the end of the chapter. Because they don't really talk. They just mention him like twice and they're like, oh, that sucks. And then they just keep going. Like, no one really mourns him. At least not in this chapter. And I'm going to say that's at least a point for me. That's a point.
No, maybe not.
Okay.
Because that might go beyond this chapter.
No, it was for this chapter specifically.
Okay. All right.
All right, so the fighting is mostly done, and Pippin kind of wanders around noticing that the sun is out and everything is in complete disarray.
Okay, so but they're burning the dead.
Yes.
Basically the dead enemy. They got a huge circle of fire, and I don't know if you noticed one of those words popped up.
I did notice, and then I sighed. Go ahead.
Jetsam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just one of those things I'm never living down. It's fine. I'm fine.
But they're going around the field and they find Eowyn and put her on a litter with soft pillows. They made a point to say with soft pillows.
Yes. So they had both her and Theoden carried into the city. And I was very confused at first because the way it said was they came into the city, and I had to stop. I'm like, wait, Theoden's dead, right? Because the way that it was worded, I thought that it's like they were both coming into the city. And I got so confused. I'm like, no, Theoden's dead, right? And I went and reread. I'm like, yeah, he's dead. And then I realized, oh, they're carrying them both. Is Ewan dead? So I had like a total like confusion to like, oh no.
Yeah, but also, you're right though. The way it's written, it makes it sound like they both are under the same condition, whether dead or alive.
Exactly. And later on, another person thinks the same thing that I thought. So I was like, frick. If I could swear on this podcast, I would. But I was swearing in my head, that's for sure.
And then they also bring Mary in, too.
Yes. So Pippin finds Mary. And Mary is an absolute sorts. He says, my right arm, I can't feel it, I can't move, and my sword was burned up like wood, and he's just about to pass out, and this poor baby, oh, my heart. And Pippin's so happy to see him, but Pippin is so upset to see him in the state he's in.
Right, because Mary even asked if he's being brought to be buried.
Yeah. And Pippin's like, not on my watch. Yeah, it was heartbreaking. I'm like, oh my God, these poor babies.
Right, and so the boys that Pippin had run into,
yes,
befriended, one of them runs by, and he tells him to go tell the House of Healing to come get him.
Yeah, because Pippin can't carry him.
Right, and the first time in the book they've called halflings Parian, which translates to halfling.
Okay.
Right, but what's really cool, when I was trying to look it up, what kept coming up was the name of a rip-off brand of Swiss Army knives, the small knives. I thought that was interesting.
Interesting.
It's very close to a French word, too.
Okay.
And so it kept wanting to pop that one up as well.
What was the French word?
I don't know. I don't speak French.
Okay. I was... because I didn't even think about halfling. I just thought it was like a title. Because they both had like titles. They were both like squires to lords. So
right.
I thought of it more of a title. I didn't realize it was a halfling word.
Yeah. Well, it's not a halfling word.
It's a word for meaning halfling.
Yeah.
I did not notice that at all. I just thought it meant because they're both like in the service of great lords. But yeah, and then Gandalf comes and finds them, and Gandalf is also so relieved. Like this entire chapter, Gandalf is usually chill and composed with very few exceptions. This is one of those exceptions. He is not chill. He is not cool in this chapter. He's like, things are going down. Things aren't done yet. We need to heal these people, and then we gotta go.
Right. Well, the other thing is, he did not foresee
the Witch King dying.
No. Well, yeah, probably that too.
But he probably didn't think it was possible.
He
had to be the one to do it.
Well, I think what has got him off kilter is Denethor and
Faramir?
No.
Denethor and Theoden dying?
Yeah. No, because I
feel like it was coming. Like, not in like a they had it coming way, but more in a like great leaders are gonna fall fighting or losing their minds because of this great evil.
Right, but it just seems to have caught him a little off guard.
I guess he got caught off guard with what Denethor did. Yeah. I think he's more caught off guard by Denethor than anything else. He's like, this guy.
Well, back to Mary finding Pippin.
Mm-hmm. No, Pippin finds Mary.
Mary. Well, they found each other.
They did in a way,
as they always do.
Yes.
But he's got a very cold hand, and if you recall from the last chapter, he stabbed the Witch King.
Yeah.
And
with his right arm, and his entire right arm, like he can't feel it. It's cold. It's like the arm is dead.
Yep.
And as we get into the House of Healing, we see that Faramir, Eowyn, and Mary, among many others, have what has been calling the shadow breath or breath of shadow. What was it called? I wrote it down, but then I forgot it.
So, anyway, yeah, and so when Gandalf finds Mary, up on his feet and trying to walk in, Gandalf he should have been brought in with honor.
Yeah.
What the heck?
Yeah, what's wrong with you people? Just because he's a halfling doesn't mean he's not important.
And he also there's a little statement of regret Gandalf says he wished he would have listened to Elrond and not allowed the halflings to go. Because he's seen both of these in such
like dire
bad shape.
But it's good that they did go because they really did affect so much in a positive way. Like, the Witch King probably would not have died if it wasn't for Mary.
Right. And what's interesting, so when they're being brought up to the House of Healing, and when they get to House of Healing, Tolkien writes that it's Faramir, Eowyn, and Meriadoc.
Yes.
First time we've heard Mary's...
Married in a while.
His real name.
Right.
In a while. And it just went, huh. But I was also thought it was interesting where they say that their leechcraft was baffled. And so their medicine is still bleeding with leeches.
Yes.
Or part of it is anyway. Mm-hmm. And that's when they talk about the Black Shadow. It doesn't seem...
The Black Shadow, that's what it was.
That doesn't seem to help...
Anything
to do with that.
I get that leeching is a actual medical technique that can be useful, but in these times they just do it for everything, and it's like,
well, they're trying to. I mean, it's the same thing as bleeding.
Yeah, they're trying to get the toxins out, but
yeah,
that's not how that works.
I know, but
that's how they think it works.
But they also call it leechcraft. But we know that they're using herbs and medicines too,
as well. Yeah.
Too. So, but the leechcraft was baffled, which I thought was interesting. Yeah. And then Faramir, so when the old lady, this old lady basically represents humanity.
Okay.
At this point.
Yeah.
When she starts to weep over Faramir.
Yeah, she's really upset because Faramir is now the steward. He's now the leader of Gondor, and he's also dying. And they're like, who's going to lead us now? What's going to happen?
Right.
And so she kind of recites this old tale.
Yeah. And one of the things I also like is, Tolkien also writes that she wept for all who loved him. Mm-hmm. So that's when I say she represented, much of not just humanity, but the elves too, and the halflings.
But go ahead and say what she said because you have it written down.
Oh, the hands of the king are the hands of a healer.
Yes. And that is very important because Gandalf hears that.
Right. And also, we hear it.
And we have the same mind as Gandalf. We know this means Aragorn.
Yeah.
We know this immediately means Aragorn. And what happens, I could have never predicted.
So Aragorn, so he sees the sun setting in fire, which he sees as a good sign. Mm-hmm. But he also doesn't want to enter the city yet.
Right. Gandalf goes to him and he's like, no, now's not the best time because if I come right now, people are going to be suspicious. People are going to be angry. It's not going to go down well. So I'll enter as a ranger, not as the king.
Right. And what's interesting is I found some notes that this idea of the hands of a king or healing hands is not foreign. So during the Middle Ages in both England and France, they believed that the king's hand could heal because kings were kings by divine right. Mm. And therefore they were given the divine power to heal. But here is specifically to heal skin diseases and infections.
Okay.
Even Shakespeare talks about that in Macbeth. Mm. Act 4, Scene 3. I didn't bother to go read it.
I totally forgot about that. I can't remember the exact thing, but I do remember something about that in Macbeth. I definitely do.
Yeah. And so Theoden is in the Great Hall, laying in state. Mm-hmm. And he's covered with a gold cloth.
Yes.
With his sword on top of the cloth and his shield at his feet. This is It's very symbolic.
It's not just very symbolic, but it's very, oh my god, I just forgot the word. What's pre-England people? Not the Celts. Old English people. Oh my god, where am I blanking?
I don't
People
know.
in the mounds.
I have no idea what you're talking about. You're talking about the Saxons and the...
Saxons. Yeah, it's very Saxon.
Okay. Right, because the... So, traditionally, when kings or even warriors who were buried that died in death, their sword was buried with them.
Yes.
And the fact that the fact that the shield at his feet is, a symbol of, well done, good servant type of thing.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so while he's laying in state, we see, oh my god, how do you pronounce his name, the brother's name? Omir?
Yeah.
Omir. So Omir is like, okay, that's great. I see Theoden, but where's my sister? And he thought the same thing I did, that she was dead by the way she was being carried. And so they inform him that's like, no, he's lying. Like, and he's like, where's Faramir as well?
Okay.
And they're like,
no, go ahead.
And they're like, oh, they're in the houses of healing. And he's like, bye. He immediately is just like, bye. And just hauls tail.
It's interesting to hear you say that because, I've read it so many times and so forth. I knew she wasn't dead. So the last few times I've read it, I never even thought about, everybody would have thought she was dead.
Yeah, he thought he was, I thought she was dead. He thought she was dead. We're all like, where is she? She's kind of important now.
Yeah.
And I got a small spoiler for myself, which I'm not going to give to anyone else because I was trying to, confirm, when I was trying to confirm the Theoden thing. But, yeah, it was... I definitely, feel for the brother. The brother just, the second he finds out that she was still alive in the Houses of Healing, he just turns around. He's like, bye. I gotta go see my sister. He's like, yeah, Faramir's important too, but where is my sister? And I really like that moment.
Yeah. And it's interesting, too, because I like the whole thing with, Aragorn saying, he needs king's foil. And they're king's foil.
Yeah, well, he first calls it called Ethilus.
Yeah.
Ethilus.
Well,
Aethelus.
That's because, and that's...
And no one, and everyone's like, never heard of it. And he's like, it's also called King's Foil. And when he said King's Foil, I'm like, is that the thing from the beginning? I immediately remembered it. I'm like, wait a second. Because didn't we have this conversation in the first frickin' season of the first book where you're like, didn't you hint that it's because of who he is, it even has better properties than normal?
Right.
Oh my god. I literally, it was a click went off. I connected the dots. I feel like the Shane...
Right.
The Shane Minaj...
Yeah, and...
Meme.
And in some of the notes by other people that I was reading this time was that, it's... So this is how I interpret it. It was still unusual for them not to have any king's foil because... while they didn't think it had any healing properties, because of its ability to cover bad scents, that's
still kind of
it's in a house. Yeah, it's in the house of healing, so you don't smell all the gross decay
stuff.
And stuff.
And I thought it was really interesting because they while the wardens of the healing houses was this thing's totally useless, blah, 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 no one has this. And then the old lady's like, actually, a lot of old people still use it because of the myths and legends. And Gandalf's like, well, go get some, woman! He's
You just shouted off the chart.
I did, but that's what Gandalf does, too. He's like, well, Gandalf just, loses his temper in that moment. He's like, well, go get some. Hello, he's asking for it. Someone do something. Which... it's jumping ahead a little bit, but even Aragorn, a little bit later, mocks the warden. He's just because it's I just imagined him in a mocking voice, which I know he would never actually do, but in my head it was a mocking voice where he's just oh, it's totally useless. Now I'm gonna get
See, I think that has more to say about you than him.
I was also watching The Good Place season 1 earlier, so that's kind of where it came from as well.
So when Aragon comes to heal Faramir, Faramir says, "What does the king command?"
Well, it takes a minute for him to wake up first.
Oh yeah, I know, but I'm just saying after.
But yeah, his first thing is like, "What does the king command?" And that's when everyone sees what's happening. Everyone heard the old lady's myth. Everyone kind of knows the legends, and everyone's like, "Dude, it's the king! It's the king! It's the king!" And it's kind of said, but not said here, that it's going to help his claim later down the line.
Well, but also, just 10 minutes ago, Aragon's saying, I want to stay hidden. Mm-hmm. But,
Well, he's trying to stay hidden, and then Faramir goes and says that, and I can just imagine Aragon just being like, "Dude, keep it chill. Keep it under wraps." He's like, "Dude."
But so something that's interesting, I'm going to boil this down to its basic elements. But so when Faramir, the images that goes through Faramir's mind at this point, it being spring and so forth like that, it's kind of pointing towards the golden age to come. Right.
I was going to bring this up a little bit later, but one of the things that the King's Foil does is it smells different to each person.
Yeah.
So for Faramir, the scent is of dewy mornings, of unshadowed sun, and spring itself, but a fleeting memory.
Right.
Where it's like, it's not just spring. It is full on summer. It is beautiful dew. And that is symbolic of like this golden age to come.
Right. And so with Éowyn, it's like,
there's no like real scent. It's just like as if the air is clean and fresh.
Yeah. It's an unbreathed air.
Yes. Has never been breathed by any living thing, and came new made from snowy mountains high beneath a dome of stars, or from shores of silver far away washed by seas of foam.
Right. So those high stars, that unbreathed air and all that kind of points to her purity. Mm-hmm. So
I also kind of found it symbolic of like, again, this like new beginning that's going to be coming.
Right. And then Mary,
who is hilarious when he wakes up.
Right.
But his smell is of orchards and of heather and the sunshine full of beads.
Right.
Which is very Shire-esque.
Well, Shire, it's a little bit domestic as well.
It's easy living, casual, relaxing.
Right. And the King's Foil, I don't want to say it heals. It allows healing to happen.
Okay.
Is how I read it.
Okay.
Okay. So.
All right.
And then later on, Éowyn's brother says that Éowyn loves Aragon more than me. And they also talked about Éowyn having the same bearing as queens of great renown. So I thought that was interesting too. Somebody demands that the halflings become knights of the Riddendale March because of the service that they have. But also, Éowyn is not sure if she should hope. Mm-hmm. And then we get all this high thinking and morals and da-da-da. And Mary's like, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Where's my pipe?
Mary's like, I'm hungry. Can I have food? And Gandalf's like, of course you can have food. You can have as much food as you want, sweetie. And then he's like, where's my pipe? And then he gets really sad. And he's like, wait, no, Theoden really wanted to smoke with me, and I don't think I'm ever going to be smoking again without thinking about him. And Aragorn's like, no, you should smoke and think of him and be glad of the short time you had together. So I thought it was a really sweet moment.
And then towards the end of the chapter, are you got anything else before
Nope.
I start talking about the entire? So, right before the end of the chapter, we are told that they see the banner of Do Emroth, which is a white ship that looks like a swan.
Yes.
And this is from the furthest parts west of Gondor, and traditionally that place is where both gray elves, tree elves live together.
Okay.
And so, it's knowing that, it could be symbolic of, here, here comes the Marines type of thing.
Mm-hmm. And I did just realize I did forget one thing. So one thing that did strike me was Imrahil, who's that Prince Swan guy, and then Aragorn and Eomer. All three of them are like, we're in agreement that Gandalf is basically in charge.
Oh, I forgot that too. Right? I forgot that too.
Yeah, they're they all get together like, can we all agree that like Gandalf is in charge and we're just gonna listen to whatever he says because he's the only one that knows anything and we're not gonna be the stupid kings that don't listen to him. And they're all like, yeah. Yeah, Gandalf knows what he's doing. We're gonna listen.
Well, it's also a little bit, I don't want to be responsible for this mess either.
I didn't think of it that way. I thought it was like, this is way over our heads. We need to listen to Gandalf because if we don't, things are going to get messy.
Oh, that's not what I wanted. I was trying to find the name of the next chapter and I forget.
Oh, I have it. Hold on. Because I actually have my book in front of me for the first time in like
ever
20 sessions. It is called The Last Debate.
The Last Debate. Okay,
The Last Debate.
Do we have anything else before you...
No, that was the only thing that I remembered.
Okay, so predictions then.
The Last Debate. The only thing that's coming to my head is the play Speech and Debate, which is both amazing and terrible at the same time, and I know it has nothing to do with this. But The Last Debate. I'm gonna say the three guys that we just talked about all publicly be like, yeah, Gandalf's in charge. Like they're all like, we're in agreement. Yeah, Gandalf's in charge. And I'm going to include in that prediction, they're going to tell the elves Gandalf's in charge.
Okay.
I feel like everyone's just going to be like, okay. Like they might have a debate about it, but they're like, all right, Gandalf's in charge.
Okay.
Second is going to be whether or not they should march onto Mordor. Because I'm assuming that's the final climactic thing that's about to happen, even though we're still in book 5, not 6, but I'm assuming 6 is about Sam and Frodo, so I'm thinking we're getting there.
Okay.
That's my assumption based on previous books and chapters. And then my third prediction. Merry and Pippin also decide that they want to go with everyone, and this time when they're told to stay, they actually stay.
Okay.
Because they're like, yeah, we learned our lesson. We're good. We'll hold down the fort.
Well, yeah.
No, I feel like they're gonna stay behind and be like, we're good. Well, not like we're good, but be like, yeah, we're gonna listen this time.
But also, Mary is still
injured, and I think Pippin's gonna stay with him.
Still has.
Yeah, so I just think they're gonna stay behind in this, and I'm gonna make that, I guess, an ongoing prediction where I just feel like they're just gonna stay behind.
Okay.
I think that's it.
Yep. So, I've been Robert.
And I've been Evelyn.
And this is Token About It.